Greetings, fellow citizens of Disneyland. Brickey here. Today's adventure, our second perimeter tour of Disney's California Adventure. This is a different kind of video series, so let me explain what you're watching. If you want to see the entire outer edge of Disney's California Adventure, watch that video in the top right-hand corner. Last month, I did the first perimeter tour where I captured the complete edge of what was available to guests when Disney's California Adventure reopened to guests inside of the 2020 pandemic. Today's video will capture anything that has changed from our perimeter tour back in December. As I don't want to keep showing you the same stuff each and every month, as you can see on the map, this is the area that is available to guests. So what do you say we rip around the complete outer edge and find anything that's changed over the last month at Disney's California Adventure? Jumping right in, the first big obvious change is that now the entrance and exit sit side by side. You no longer have to get on a virtual queue. It's just come and go as you please. This is what it looked like last month, where you had to exit far on the right because they actually had a line of people waiting to get in on the far left-hand side. But the demand has gone down, the attendance has gone down, so this is no longer something that happens. And when you see that black box around the edge of your screen, that means we're time traveling. Now, this is an area that I wasn't able to get into with the camera on last month's video. There was cast members kind of blocking this area out. So I finally had the space to go in here and capture this bit of the perimeter. I love these little nooks in Disneyland that you're like, am I allowed to walk in here, or is this cast members only? And the thing I love about following the outer perimeter of the entire area is that you just are forced to walk into little spots like this that maybe you've never enjoyed. Nothing really new with Mortimer's Market, but last time there was such an attendance and people waiting to get into shops that it was blocked by guests. So I thought I'd take a moment just to capture this for the Perimeter series, because the idea is to have video footage of every edge of the park to allow for better documenting in the future. And man, do I wish I had all of this footage right now while the park is closed. Just looking up the street right now, nothing major has changed other than attendance. When I was looking at this footage, compared to what I shot last month, it was pretty drastic how much the park has changed over the last 30 days. You can see people properly socially distanced all up the sidewalk there, waiting to get into the western side shops, where you enter up by trolley treats and then you can navigate through that entire building. Because there was a lack of audience, I was able to get close to the facade of this building and capture this part of the perimeter where I really love the detailing over this doorway. And that balcony is my #1 ranked balcony if you want to watch my insane balcony video, where I ranked all the balconies on Buena Vista Street 1 through 10 to the best. As we come up to this courtyard, the big thing that has changed, if you look right over to your left at those double blue doors right there, you can no longer get inside of the Starbucks. For about a month now, there's been no food or beverage allowed at the Disneyland Resort, and it has drastically changed the amount of folks that are coming out to the resort. And due to that change, we have lost some of the footprint that was first made available to us. So currently, this building here where the Starbucks resides, that is the furthest corner that we can get to because Grizzly Peak is no longer allowed to us. If you want to see the entire footprint of Grizzly Peak, go watch last month's video when I documented that entire footprint. But this is our edge now, and losing smoke jumpers and all of the extra seating that was down there, it just was such a nice extension of the resort to get to walk down through to feel that vibe of being out in wilderness. This was our furthest point back in December when we did the first perimeter video. It may not seem like a lot going down runway 30, but trust me, you can really feel that that is missing. Willie's Churros is obviously shut down due to the food restrictions. And not that a food cart makes or breaks your visit to the resort, but it did add a nice level of kinetic energy, seeing cast members creating transactions, seeing guests walk around with their snacks. Like the food and beverage being taken out of the resort crazy affected it way more than I ever would have predicted. And now that the resort is relying solely on merchandise sales, that's all there is to do here is to shop. So this area, for example, has really doubled in size over the span of the last month. Going back to last month's video, you can see there were just a few merchandise carts that were available. And now it has pretty much grown. And also on the street side of the sidewalk. It used to be all tucked up on the sidewalk. Now it's out into the street, as Disney is probably sitting on an insane amount of holiday merchandise, and that's why currently it's all down to 70%. But once again, a month later, this is now our new perimeter. This is as far as we can get. And actually, this has been moved back 2 different steps over the span of the last month. So no more dining by the waterfall, and no more being able to walk down to the end to see Cars Land, which also meant no more getting sneak peeks at Avengers Campus, which in another universe we should have all been into a long, long time ago. So this was the second perimeter that we had, but then once everything really changed, they just moved it back to here, and we lost that stretch of the edge of Carthage Circle. Now making the offset hub of Disney's California Adventure, only having one option, you can only go left down into Hollywoodland. And now Carthage Circle has been turned in sort of a makeshift little merchant area where they're selling balloons and sippers and popcorn buckets that used to be on this extension that we lost about mid-month, really changing up the size of the perimeter that is available to us. Here you can see the stands underneath the canopy of Carthage Circle, which has become an interesting way to use this space. The reason why I love doing this series is this footage one day will be so insane to look at. But here we are in current day with the patio area not being used, and it just does take out a lot of the lifestyle that's happening. Going back to last month, there was just so much more action happening on Hollywoodland, and it just made it feel more alive. So for me, the joy of the Perimeter series is now having this footage of the patio with no guest on it, preserving this bizarre moment in time. Looking over to the street, you can just see there are not that many guests coming out to the resort at the beginning of January. And if the food and beverage doesn't change, I'm predicting it will only be weirder by the time that February rolls around, and people are definitely in a month where they don't do a lot of shopping. This courtyard, there was sort of a pop-up makeshift expansion of Carthage Circle, really had a lot of folks hanging out and having a great time just a month ago. As you can see from this footage, just walking by and seeing friends and family connect, it just adds so much of a vibe to things. And hey, I understand why this all had to go away. This series isn't about that. That's my news videos that I do, but it is very interesting to just capture all of this once a month. This is another area that I couldn't get into last month because there were people actually dining in this area. So the lack of dining has made it easier to get into spots with the camera to truly film every wall, every edge inside the resort. You can see going back a month, just the amount of tables that were all up and down the street because they were really trying to do an impromptu, not a food fair, but more of a food court. And I am missing the food and beverage being there because it was nice to be able to get something to eat while you're at the resort, or at the very least, go over to Starbucks, get that Trenta cold brew, extra ice, light splash of whole milk, and be able to take my mask off. Now when you go to the resort, the mask stays on the entire time. So you can see that what was once a patio a month ago is literally just a sidewalk in front of the theater. I really do love the way that this building looks, but I hate the graphics that are up on the marquee. It's just such a classic, old school looking building, and then the graphics are just not my favorite thing. Once again, coming in this makeshift courtyard in front of the Chinese restaurant that's really a restaurant. I always think it looks like a Chinese restaurant. Able to get in with the camera and take more shots of edges that I wasn't able to get to, just to give everybody their proper socially distant space as I'm rolling around filming. I don't know how I got into my mind that I want this to be a Chinese restaurant, but I always wanted to be a Chinese restaurant, not such an elaborate facade for a restroom. But as we've showcased a lot of things that have gone away, a new thing that we've got in the last month is Off the Page had opened up. Looking back in the courtyard a month ago, this was a place to hang out, have some drinks, have some snacks. I ripped corn dogs there with Philander one night. One door closes, one door opens, and Off the Page returns. These more specialty shops have done a great job of keeping guests queued up. But with the return of Off the Page, we also got the return of Hollywoodland, and now we can go much further than we could before. If you look over to the left of your screen, you could see the rope off the page used to be the edge. This used to be as far as we could go. I'm standing at the rope right now that sort of acts as our blocking point. And now that this area is open, we can get up to the edge of the red car trolley. Look at reaction time on Gray Sweatshirt. Being able to be inside of Hollywoodland, though, lets us enjoy these buildings that are pretty decadent. There is a lot of really great facade work on these buildings. And they're all miniature versions themed after actual buildings that existed in Los Angeles in the 30s, except for the animation building, which is the only original facade on Hollywood Boulevard, and I have to say, my least favorite building on Hollywood Boulevard. This bizarre sort of purplish blue, maybe it's periwinkle, it is such a Disney color. I feel like they're the only people in the world that use this color. I do enjoy the frame posters out front. Always love when they hang their artwork inside of the resort. And this stonework is pretty interesting. Where is it supposed to be sparkles and shimmer because there's magic in there? Or is it supposed to be starfish and like weird ocean Cheerios because Crush's Turtle Talk's in there? You decide. Holy Art Deco, Mickey Mouse. Look at all of the facade work on this particular building that we never get to go inside of. And if you look to the left of your screen, you can see that this is now the new perimeter that has been established 1 month later. And looking down Hollywood Boulevard, you can see that we're in here pretty deep. And this was a big win after having the old stopping point. So I'm now standing at the rope, which is as far as we can go. And let's just hope that maybe when food and beverage returns that we can go further down and get to maybe do a loop over into the backlot. So currently this is as far as we can go, and there's a bench right where I'm standing, and spent a lot of time on that bench this last month. Actually, that's the bench right there, kind of in the lower part of your screen behind this couple that's having fun, doing a photo op in front of the Fairfax Market, which photo ops is like the major thing that's happening at the resort right now. You see lots of people coming in and just ripping TikTok vids, doing Instagram photo shoots. Like there's a lot of that happening right now. So at one point, we were not allowed to get into the Hollywood Studios area. So this has become something that opened up to us over the span of the last 30 days. And the churro cart that's pushed over against the edge of the wall there, that was out in the middle of the road. I don't think they ever actually used that. But the reason why this space, the backlot, got opened up to us is because you can now access Studio 17, the backlot premiere shop, from this direction instead of having to go all the way across the Esplanade. You can see that they have Mickey PhilharMagic building sort of partitioned off so that you couldn't cruise through here to get over to where people were allowed to eat inside of the theater. I have to say that this more traditional theme park design that they have over here, it's absolutely one of my least favorite places in all of DCA. Normally we wouldn't see these garage doors, these 3 different garage doors here, because they would be open and we'd be exiting from seeing Mickey's PhilharMagic. But now, oh no, there's way more than 3. But now they just stay closed all the time. Do enjoy these Art Deco patterns here on this railing. But as you look around at the more traditional, dare I say, Six Flags style railings that kids love to climb all over right next to you while you're waiting in line, it just makes this part of the park look really cheap. And I would have to say that out of everything in DCA that's probably on the chopping block, this has got to be ground zero for new ideas. If they're going to build something new, it's going to have to be in this area because it is the Tomorrowland of DCA. And by Tomorrowland, I mean it's a hodgepodge of ideas. It's lacking one unified color scheme, architectural style, or overall narrative theme. It's just every building's kind of doing its own thing, and all of these things don't gel together. But now this is the entryway to get into the Backlot Premiere Shop through Studio 17. Over here on the right, you can see the area where you're supposed to be queued up. Believe it or not, that was actually really packed for the holidays. And now we can get close to another attraction, being able to stand outside of Monsters, Inc.'s front facade, as well as see the meet and greet for Captain Marvel and some of the bizarro food stands that maybe they're open, maybe they're not open, but we get to look into this backlot area of Hollywoodland. Hey, I'll take anything new that they're giving us, but if I'm being honest, hanging out at the Hollywood backlot stage, not exactly my favorite part of the Disney resort, but it is phenomenal time to get to look at all of the work that goes into building this stage area, the catwalks, all the lighting, rigs. There's just so much cool stuff happening here from that sort of perspective. Not maybe the best spot to look at. And I didn't remember that superhero vibe being on the wall over there. The back of Smoozies is probably the ugliest spot in the entire resort. I mean, I hate to be negative, but come on, that's a bad shot. This center area here, we're actually not supposed to walk through there. They had it blocked off. I don't know. This area's been kind of different week to week. I think they're still trying to figure out the proper crowd flow. I have enjoyed, though, all of the outdoor shopping, because right now I'm currently not too thrilled about going indoors and into the stores. So it is nice to get to see a lot of merchandise in the outdoor shopping areas. Schmoozies really embraces California Adventure 1.0, which, by the way, next month is the 20th anniversary of this park. Disney's California Adventure has gone through a lot of changes over the last 20 years, slowly just putting more money and time into it to get it just right. And this is an interesting moment because Disney's California Adventure has stepped up during this bizarre moment in time, and I believe it's actually starting to really write its own history right now. This is an amusement park. I love this about Disney. Like, this does not look like a shot inside of an amusement park, and I'm here for it. It was really hard to get some good open shots last month because this area was so busy with everybody eating at award wieners. But this month, you can finally get that shot with no other humans in it. And how good is that Art Deco detailing underneath the new marquee, which that marquee just had like its year anniversary. This was a wall that I couldn't shoot the last time because there was people waiting in line here for award wieners. So I just want to make sure that I get every single edge, every wall. Love looking out through this keyhole here, just like an aquarium full of people in an amusement park. And the reason why I narrate all of these at my home studio and I'm not talking to you in front of the camera is I just want to document big, open, wide shots of the entire resort. So as time goes on and I'm telling the Disney story, I have all of this footage without somebody standing in front of it talking to use for whatever projects or stories may come up in the future. I'm in love with this doorway. I actually really love a lot of doors that go nowhere at the Disneyland Resort. Here's our goodbye shot looking down Hollywood Boulevard. We're now on Buena Vista Street, slowly working our way around the perimeter to end right where we began. Really love the look of Eli & Co. in this particular area. And you can see a month ago, there were so many more benches and hand washing stations, everything that they needed to have when food was permitted here at the resort. We've made our way to Oswald's. Everything that we looked at in this month's video is things that I didn't shoot last month or things that have changed over the course of 1 month of studying the perimeter. And as new lands open, we will kind of go around the park and shoot these for all over the place, just so we can always document everything that changes at the Disneyland Resort. Friends, thank you so much for taking this perimeter tour with me. This is a very different kind of video series, so if you enjoyed this at all, please do me a solid, leave a comment, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you real soon, here with more Disneyland news.